Hello, hello! Welcome to Dubai Fashion News, the podcast where you can get to know everything about the fashion industry. Here we will interview fashion designers, influencers, models, photographers, shop owners, you name it. And what for? To learn their insights, their stories, and the lessons they learn along the way. I'm your host, Araceli Gallego, recording from the beautiful city of Dubai. Today's guest is Shahd Alasaly. Shahd is the entrepreneur behind Blue Meets Blue, an ethical luxury fashion label that is making its mark by employing female refugees in the US and helping them integrate. Her story is beautiful, and her clothes even more. Not only they have timeless elegance and great materials, they are sewn with love, care, and respect for humankind. She's going to tell us how her humanitarianism impacts the bottom line of her business, if having a beautiful story helps with the sales or only with headlines, and how she organizes the work and the production at her atelier in Chicago. Stay put, don't go anywhere. The interview starts right now. Hi, Shahd.
No. Okay.
We're gonna have a recording of a podcast. This is how we actually record the podcast normally. We are doing it live so that you guys can see what is behind the scenes, and it's a lot of fun. So join us. If you have any questions, shoot it.
Yes.
We have a very interesting interviewee today.
Thank you.
So her name is Shahd. Shahd from Blue Meets Blue. We met her in the event called Preta Cover that they did at the Islamic Fashion and Design Council, an event that it was happened here in Dubai.
Correct.
And I want to know a little bit about everything, really, because your story is super interesting. Tell me about your brand. How did it start? When did it start?
So we started in 2015. We're based in Chicago, and we started the questions and the research in 2015, and then we officially launched it in 2016. So we've been around for about 2 years now.
Good. It's pretty young.
It's very young, yes.
And what is it about? What is the core of your fashion brand?
So we're trying to solve so many problems. We are, it's an ethical humanitarian fashion line. We employ refugees in the US. After they arrive to the United States and start resettling, we want to make sure that they have an opportunity to work. So that's one. And then two, we're also trying to tackle the fast fashion problem and the fast fashion industry. So we focus on slow fashion, ethical manufacturing, and just really 2 seasons a year. So that's kind of what we're doing.
Oh, nice. So it's only 2 years ago. And how do you feel it's actually going?
It's going really well. People in the US are very excited about the idea of right now, ethical consumerism is growing and it's on the rise, and people are very excited to support not just the clothing line, but all kinds of things that they purchase. They want to make sure that it's a good cause, and they're excited to support more than one cause. They're getting something cool, a product that they're going to enjoy wearing, while also knowing that they're supporting a bigger, greater cause.
Yeah, very true. So your motto is where fashion meets humanitarianism. What is your personal story? How did you connect with this cause?
Well, my family is actually Syrian, and when the refugee crisis in 2011 was starting to become a problem, by 2013, we had hit 60 million refugees worldwide, which is a giant 60 million refugees worldwide.
Wow.
Displaced from their homes from all around the world, not just Syria, from all around the world. But it was such a big number, and I felt like there's so much that can be done to just help people, and you just really have to find a way to do that. So I wanted to combine my two passions, which was design. I grew up with design. My grandmother, it's funny because she's actually also a psychologist, which my formal training was in psychology, but she is the seamstress. She was amazing. She used to make all her kids' clothing by hand, and it was just very beautiful. And so when I used to go in the summer, she would sit me down and she would teach me the quality, the fine fabrics and beautiful sewing and the importance of ironing your clothes and things like that. So I grew up with that around me and always took classes and always had an interest. Officially, I did international psychology. And as the refugee crisis was hitting that high, My thesis was about working with refugees after they arrive to their new country, and ways to help them really feel settled in, ways to help them feel like they're starting their lives over not without the PTSD and depression, but ways to alleviate that. So the number one thing really is finding work and finding a job, and so that's what we do.
So you study psychology and you study fashion, but you studied first with your grandmother, but then later you study fashion
so not
too,
an entire degree, but yes, I took classes of design and color theory and fabrics and everything.
Why the name of the brand is Blue Meets Blue? Where is it coming from?
Just the vision of, thinking of when refugees leave their country. Sometimes they take a very difficult, challenging journey, and that entails being on a boat. And the only thing they see as they're leaving is the blue of the ocean meeting the blue of the sky. Oh. And so
their that's journey, an image.
Exactly. Their journey to freedom or to hope. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Thank you.
Very
Thank
romantic. You and so it makes sense as definitely as your brand values.
Yes.
Too, definitely. Tell us about the refugee crisis. I'm surprised, but the numbers that you gave is just amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Why is it so bad right now? We are supposed to be more advanced as a society. Why is it so bad?
I mean, it's very sad. It's there's so many wars going on around the world, and people are leaving their, by definition, a refugee is someone who's forced out of their home.
Yeah.
Because of war or natural disaster or whatnot. And there's just so much strife going on, and people are escaping that, and they're trying to find refuge in other countries. So definitely, this is the worst humanitarian crisis since World War II. And the numbers are staggering, and it's in every country, But there's some countries that are hosting more refugees than others. And there's really, there's just so much that we can all do to help. So it's a very sad situation.
So you kind of like put together the dots, like I want to help, and at the same time I want to create a fashion brand, and I want to put it together.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So that's where it all came from. I'm a mother and I have children, and my daughter always tells me she's got these wild dreams. She wants to be the first female president in the U.S., which I'm like, yes.
I'll vote for her.
She asks me, are you going to vote for me? Who else is going to vote for me? But I always, with what I'm doing, I want her to know that, whatever path she chooses, to say, hey, I want to make sure that I can help in whatever my industry she's going to go into, or so I want it to be an example also for my children as they're growing up to see that there's a way, whatever you do, to help out. And that's, I think at the end, that's the most important thing.
Yeah. And what can we do then? For example, in your case, you're actually doing already quite a lot. You tell us a little bit later how, but for example, from the individual perspective, from my perspective, from my shoes, from the company shoes, from the society shoes, what can be done?
There's so many things people can do. For example, they can support industries that are helping refugees. They can potentially employ refugees. There's so many chains right now that are, you have Starbucks that had this huge campaign to just employ refugees. Mm-hmm. I think at that level, it's so important that they find jobs. So helping them find jobs. Work is dignity, and it's very important that they're able to find work in their new country. And then also helping them find friends and helping them have a community. There's people are coming complete culture shock. In many cases, they're going to countries where the culture is completely different. And sometimes all it takes is just, can I help you? What can I do? And I think that's, the simplest thing that anyone can do.
So in your case, you're employing female refugees?
Specifically female refugees. We do have a male designer, and he's incredible. He had his own line in Turkey for 3 years. But we are definitely trying to work mostly with female refugees. We want to empower women. We live in a male-dominated society.
We normally have it more difficult than men.
Exactly. We live in a male-dominated society, and it's already difficult for women to find jobs, let alone be refugee women. So that's something we really value, and we make sure that we're focusing on that.
So when you receive them, do you train them, or they already have the skills?
So many people that are coming from these countries, this is something that they already know. This is something they're taught growing up, how to sew and how to do beading, and very simple for them. But actually, many of them used to either work in factories where they used to sew, or they used to be home seamstresses as well.
Oh, wow.
And it's very important for them that they're working in their skill set. When they're working in their skill set, they're feeling empowered.
Yeah,
and so we want them to feel like you're contributing to something. We're not, you're not getting a job that's below your skill sets and below your qualifications. Many people come from their country and they're overqualified for a lot of the positions they're given because they're getting taken advantage of.
Yeah.
So we want them to feel like you're completely qualified. We completely trust the work that you're doing, and they feel confident doing so, and they feel like they're contributing as well to they're excited. They're like, oh, I have an idea. What if we do it like this? And it's just so exciting to see them feel that empowerment.
Yeah.
It causes so much.
It's so powerful.
It's therapeutic. It's very therapeutic. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, because they need to to forget a lot from
absolutely
behind.
Yeah.
So, what kind of positions are they holding in your company?
We have my co-designer. He is a designer. He's helping me design the pieces. He's also a pattern maker.
This one is the one that you mentioned that is the main
from
designer?
Turkey.
Yeah.
He had his own line. He worked in like powerhouses of fashion in Lebanon and Turkey, and he's our main pattern maker as well. We have people that work on the beading. We have people working on the sewing. So basically everything.
All the different jobs within the atelier.
Jobs. Exactly.
I've been an expat all my life, as I told you before, and I feel it's so important when you reach a country. It's not only about like, oh, I'm here, I'm safe.
Yes.
You need to actually feel like somehow welcome, like
exactly,
like you are accepted.
Yes.
You are, So it's not only the job, but the feeling of being able to. How do you manage with the able to communicate part? Because I guess it's difficult. Some of them may speak English.
Yeah, the language barrier is very difficult.
How do you sort it out?
Well, the language barrier
because it's so
difficult.
important for the integration.
Absolutely. Well, and they come in through resettlement agencies, and the resettlement agencies help them find places where they get ESL, tutoring, and that's very important for them. And as you can imagine, it adds to the depression of not being able to communicate basic things, not to, being able to do public transportation or something simple as taking your kids to school or grocery shopping, and you're just unable to do that because you can't communicate.
Yeah.
So that's one of the first things they actually do, the resettlement agencies, is help them with that adjustment, which is great. Moreover, when they're working with us, it's very exciting because we work with refugees from all around the world. To see them try
not one particular country or region.
No, to see them, they have to use English because now they need to communicate with one another. So that's also very great because it's forcing them to use the language, practice the language, have people around them like myself that's able to kind of coach them through it. So that's also very exciting.
At the beginning, I imagine it's
very difficult.
It's difficult.
But English is a global language, and many of them already come with. While it's difficult, grammatically and with larger ideas, but they're able to get by with the few words that they know. So and that they're adding to that list.
And
all
I think
time.
also fashion is a language on itself when it comes to
art.
It's
it's
something
a common
artistic,
language.
it's creative. So if it's in you, you will find a way to draw it or somehow
communicate
it. I mean, if you would be a different kind of a lawyer or something, you need to have the precise words and stuff. But fashion has a unique language on itself, so that's good. It helps. In this case, it helps.
Sure.
How does your humanitarian approach impact your bottom line? I think this is something that probably everybody is asking you. How does it affect your production? Is it more costly? You have to take care of visas, paperwork? Is it maybe more inefficient because maybe of the language barriers? How does it work for you?
Well, we produce in the U.S., so we're not doing any outsourcing, none of that. We're producing
everything.
Everything. Of course, when you're sourcing high quality fabrics, or you're part of our foundation is the whole ethical premise, right? So we're paying really good wages. We are sourcing high quality fabrics, and of course that makes the garments much more expensive. But
you're avoiding fast fashion in any case.
We're avoiding fast fashion.
Somebody's paying for fast fashion. Somebody is paying along the line.
Right. And you're getting what you pay for. You're getting very high quality made garments, hand beaded pieces that are very beautiful.
So you would say that kind of like Blue Meets Blue is in the range of other ethical fashion brands that maybe don't have this kind of good cause behind, like in your case.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely a luxury, higher end, ethical fashion line.
What are the pros and cons of actually your approach to business? Because at the end of the day, it's a business. You need to make it profitable. You need to make it happening. And I think with the social cause that you have, it resonates already a lot with society, because this is a concern all of us we have. Absolutely. What's going on in the world.
Right.
How does it make it profitable, Does it help?
That's a very good question. I mean,
because at the same time it's a hurdle, but at the same time it's a benefit. So how do you
Right. I mean, so the story definitely helps. But if your product's not incredible and amazing, no one's going to buy it, no matter how great your story is. They'll say, oh, we like it, it's a good idea, but I'm sorry, I'm not very... So we make sure that the product obviously comes first. We have an excellent product, but we also have a really good story. So it definitely... people are like, oh, that's very beautiful, and the story is excellent, so now I'm definitely gonna buy it. So
it's very classical. I love your lines.
Yes, we're very,
it's like there's not a particular trend or
it's
something.
Very timeless.
Yeah, exactly. You can wear it anytime, in 10 years you can still wear the same because it looks beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, while we're definitely we're loving fashion trends and everything, but part of fast fashion is the whole, well, it's made now, but 2 weeks later it's out of fashion. That's just it's not practical. So we want very beautiful, timeless pieces that also look very classy, that are also modest, and that are also sophisticated. So that's
definitely. I need to ask you a little bit about this part. It's a little bit political. So we've seen, like, since the last elections in the US, there's a lot of people actually, they were hidden in reality. We didn't thought it would be like that.
Yeah,
but there were quite a lot of people that are rejecting immigrants. Yeah. To me, that's nonsense. But
it's hypocritical.
Yeah, how is this affecting your business? Like relationship with other people in Chicago, with other neighbors or citizens?
Well, thankfully we live in Chicago. Chicago's a sanctuary city in the US, and so it's very welcoming to immigrants, to refugees, and it's just it's a very diverse city. So we're very grateful that we are in Chicago. But I think
was it also a surprise for you when the elections came out?
I think it was a shock to everybody.
Definitely.
Sadly, I mean, people with the loudest voices are usually people who are have a lot of hate in them, and they're usually the ones but I think they're a minority, to be honest with you. And the majority of people in the US are very loving and welcoming, and like you said, it's built on immigration. Unless you're a Native American, you're an immigrant in the country. And so it's whatever generation back, you're an immigrant in the country. So it is a melting pot, and that diversity and the cultural richness is what makes it really beautiful. So there's definitely a lot of people welcoming refugees, a lot of people that are reaching out to help. And then specifically after the election, people were really reaching out to see how they can... I mean, I think it made people bond so much more, and it made people get together so much more, because they're like, this is unacceptable. Let's together find a way to solve this issue. So actually, in some ways, this whole past election was...
It's actually beneficial somehow, because it's getting a little bit the best out of us.
Exactly. I mean, that's when we had an outpouring of support, and people, knocking on the door and saying, how can we help? Even if people aren't like necessarily... It's not just, we want to purchase stuff. It's how can we offer our services? I work with social media. How can I help you? Just random stuff. And there's so many great people in the world. It's full of really good people.
It's true. Yes. I truly believe in that. It's just that we get too busy sometimes.
Yes.
To see you, to do. Yes. Trump is changing also migration laws. And already restricted people from this region in particular. Some countries of this region are banned to enter the U.S. It's a contradiction, because America is built on top of immigrants, basically. Everybody is an immigrant. When you go to New York and you go to Ellis Island, you have there the Immigration Museum, and you can see that everybody actually is coming from somewhere else.
To seek refuge.
Exactly. The basis is to keep terrorism at bay.
Right.
That's the reason that they're giving to themselves, to believe that this is actually okay. What do you think could be a better solution to avoid terrorism and help the people that are innocent, which is actually the majority, be helped and be able to seek refuge without being judged?
Well, I mean, I think it's the facts that speak for themselves. So Homeland Security in the U.S. found that not one refugee had committed an act of terrorism since they've allowed refugees in. So that's number one. And then also, I think, unless people change this mentality, I mean, it's really the people that are in the government in the top positions and stuff. They are, like you said, that's the reason they're giving.
Yeah.
And when people do look at the facts and they see that refugees, and they know that national security has a very strict vetting process. It's very, and we trust our national security. They're doing an excellent job. And they're vetting people very strictly, so it's very difficult for people to come into the United States as it is. So I think people just need to read the facts and do a little research and be a little bit more open-minded and more accepting and more human.
I think education is key when it comes to all this, to accept each other the way it doesn't matter where we're coming from or what is your
Yeah, absolutely.
all that. Definitely, if from the very beginning, maybe in schools, in high schools, we would work on being more tolerant to each other and
exactly.
help each
It starts
other.
at home. It starts at home.
Yeah.
It starts from when you're young, and just really learning that and being more human with one another. I think just makes a big difference.
Yeah, because for example, after the Rana Plaza, then now the refugee crisis, that is just we don't know when it's going to stop, if it's going to be even worse or what. Why do you think we humans end up doing this mess? Is it just because we're only thinking about money? Money is everything?
I mean, unfortunately, like the example in Bangladesh when the building collapsed, the whole fast fashion industry, people are looked at as exchangeable, and they're trying to get the most that they can for the least amount that they can pay. You have companies that are paying 25 cents for a pair of jeans and then selling them for $60, and buildings are collapsing on top of the employees. Like when people read about this,
totally unhuman conditions.
That building was never supposed to be made as an industrial building. It was supposed to be residential. It was not supposed to be commercial. And when they told them not to do that, and that they gave them advice, they said it's not a good idea to put all that heavy machinery in there, they still did it because they wanted to make the most money, and then killed 1,500 plus, injured another 2,000, and the sad part is it's still happening. There was that whole documentary, The True Cost, which I think everybody's watched.
I saw it, and it's really
so eye-opening.
Yeah, totally.
But still, people get sad a little bit, and then they move on, because at the end of the day, money speaks, and that's all that matters to big corporations and investors, and they want to just make money. And we're so disconnected from that. We see it on the TV, but it's just so far away. It's not even the big companies that are outsourcing. There's so many middlemen in between that they don't even know where they're getting their fabrics from. They don't even know what factories they're using. So we're just so disconnected, and I think part of, for us, bringing the jobs to the U.S. and having control over everything, every single step, makes such a huge difference, because we're like, we know everything is, being produced ethically. We see it, and so that makes us happy, and it makes us feel like not only are we helping people out, but we're also not injuring people in other third world countries. And the other thing too is
making a difference.
Right.
So the people's lives that you're touching, you'll definitely change forever.
I hope so.
Tell me one thing about this ethical fashion movement that is coming up. What do you think is the future?
Like I said, I think.
Do you think it's actually gonna become a norm, or still we're not gonna reach that stage?
I mean, I don't know if we're gonna reach it very soon, because money still speaks a lot. But I do. And
also, there are certain demographics that we still cannot go into the
exactly because
they still need to be in the fast fashion.
Because it's expensive.
Range.
That's number one. Number two, you still have people that are like millennials right now. They are all looking for a good cause to support, all of them. So now retailers are saying, well, hey, this is the biggest. Money speaks. They're the ones that are paying money. We need to make sure, whether it's H&M that's like, oh, we're going to recycle the materials, but still employ people from third world countries, or other brands that are trying to become more ethical in whatever angle they try to find, so they can reach those customers. It's definitely taking that approach, because they know that people now want to support a good cause. So I do think that it's on the rise. It's definitely an incredible movement, and I would love to see it grow.
Let me ask you something. As your businesswoman in ethical fashion, do you think or do you feel sometimes it's mistaken as a marketing strategy?
So that's what I'm saying. For example, and I don't mean to like single out some companies, but for a company to say, well, now we're ethical, we're recycling, the fabric so that there's no environmental waste. Yeah, but you're still employing people in third world countries and paying them very, very minimum wage so that you can make a profit. So using that angle just so that you can say, hey, we're ethical, I don't think it's fair to people who really are doing very ethical. So yeah, some businesses do use it that way, which makes some people not be able to trust.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's very difficult. But I think when you are completely clear about what you're doing, and you're transparent, your customers do know that and they see that and they do believe you. And when you're not, people also can see through that. And
do you think it's necessary, kind of like have quality, ethical quality, kind of like council or something that actually says, okay, this brand actually
there are a lot of councils that do say that. There's like the Fair Trade Commission, and there's all those. So yeah, they have very strict policies and very strict rules, and I think that's important. But if people want to produce something unethically, they'll find a way to do that. And if they want to produce it ethically, they'll also find a way to do that. And consumers are smart, and they'll see through whatever it is, no matter what. So I think, just try to help people as much as you can instead of, figuring out ways to make the most amount of money. And that's what consumers want.
Yeah. What would be your advice for fashion designers that are considering to get into ethical fashion, and maybe they say, well, but it's going to be difficult? What would be your advice? Is it worth it in your case? Would you recommend it to everyone?
So for me personally, because it's supporting people who need it, for me it's fulfilling no matter how much money is spent into it, no matter how, when I see that it's making a difference in people's lives, it makes me very happy and very fulfilled. So for me, it's worth it. I think no matter what you do, whether it's in fashion or any industry, if it's something you're passionate about, and it's something that you're willing to work hard for, it's worth it for you. If it's and it doesn't feel like a job, it doesn't feel like you're working. For people who are going into it just because that's what the trend is, then maybe not a good idea. No matter what you do, I think you have to find something you're passionate about.
True, very true.
Yeah.
Let me ask you something. Where in Dubai can we find your clothes?
We are hoping to expand into the Middle East market. We are on bluemeetsblue.com. Right now we're in e-commerce. And we've been in touch with a lot of buyers at the event that we're at right now.
Yeah.
We're on Grazia right now as well. And we're looking into many different stores.
Lovely,
yes.
Lovely. So in case that our audience or listeners wants to get in touch with you, follow your brand, what are your Instagram handles, Facebook?
Blue Meets Blue on Instagram, Blue Meets Blue on Facebook, and www.bluemeetsblue.com.
Perfect.
And they can find all the information on the website.
Perfect.
Yes.
Perfect. We will make sure that all your links are actually in the article.
Yes,
thank you so much, Shahd,
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you very much.
It was lovely.
It was very lovely. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you for sharing our story.
Well, this was today's podcast. I want to thank you for listening to Dubai Fashion News. No matter if you're in Dubai or not, we are here to share fashion stories that will help you understand better this industry. Our objective is to bring the fashion world closer to everyone and share and learn insights from the fashion experts. I hope you liked the interview and everything Shahd has shared with us, and I want to thank you for subscribing to the podcast and for rating Dubai Fashion News with 5 stars on iTunes. This is actually super important for the podcast because this is what helps us rank better and get more visibility. By the way, talking about visibility, Dubai Fashion News is looking for sponsors. Yep. I love what I'm doing, and I hope you are enjoying it too. But in order to make it sustainable in the long term, we need some assistance. So if you're listening to the podcast and you know someone, whether a designer, a fashion brand, a beauty brand, fashion school, event organizers, or PRs, I don't know, someone that would be happy to talk to a very niche audience of fashion professionals and enthusiasts, think about us. Send me an email to hello@Dubai Fashion News and become part of this amazing project. And remember to subscribe to have every 15 days a new interview in your feed. If you have questions, a topic, if you want us to bring a specific fashion expert, or if you want to come and be here with us, please send us an email to hello@DubaiFashionNews.com. Bye bye and see you in the next podcast.